It's
That's
funny
true.
how everybody wants the glory, but nobody wants to go through the actual story. You see, PhD that I have leadership and polished, and you have a suit, and but you don't see the potato fields. You didn't see the ashes after the fire. You didn't hear the "you'll never make it" whispers. But guess what? Dr. William E. Lieberman didn't just survive, he transformed from the dirt of Jim Crow South to becoming an author, an educator, and a leader impacting lives across generations. Now, today we're not just talking about this amazing book, Dear Mighty Things. We're talking about a movement, a story that was buried in the soil but birthed through the storm. Dr. William E. Lieberman will always leave a mark on my life. And it's crazy. I remember when I first met Dr. William E. Lieberman and Miss Karen Lieberman, and she welcomed me into their home to write life insurance policy for their 10 children, seven of them being adopted, foster children. And that spirit of service, legacy, and love, it runs deep. And so when I tell you that this book, Dear Mighty Things, a journey from the potato fields to a PhD is special, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I'm honored to say I held this in my hands last night, and I literally looked at the book and started to read, and it's something that is not just a title. It's a testament. It's how pain can be transformed. You can hear how Dr. William Lieberman actually turned trauma into triumph, and how you can too pass your past. It doesn't disqualify you for a future. The power of our legacy, it's amazing through service, from his ministry and to his mentorship to learning why he gives back. He's so impactful and essential in everything that he does. And the great thing about that process is, everybody has a time, everybody has a why, and being an author, an educator, or overcomer, a legacy builder, whether you're writing a book or a business or a breakthrough, adversity, it's not too late. This is just the beginning. And it's not honestly about him becoming like an Amazon bestseller or even New York Times bestseller that we actually discussed. This is about showing the next generation what's possible. No matter where you start in regards to your narrative, this is about changing the narrative for Black men, for Black women, for foster youth, and anyone who's ever been counted out. This is an opportunity to show up. So I need you to learn 3 things from this conversation today. Number 1, to show up. Number 2, share this conversation. And number 3, to get the book. And I'm going to make sure I put the link into the comments. And Dear Mighty Things, a journey from the potato fields to a PhD, the unstoppable journey, featuring Dr. William E. Lieberman, is featured right now on Amazon. And this is history that we want to help them make together. Because the great thing is about having a plan and having an opportunity to see what's possible is having something on the world's e-commerce system. So it's as simple as me. I'm going to drop the link here in the comments before I bring them on. But this book is literally an opportunity to see by God's grace on how he overcame adversity, how he was able to create change, and how he took his steps one by one to create the journey and the legacy that we're going to hear about today. So I'm so excited to bring Dr. William E. Lieberman into this actual conversation here today. And thank you so much for even saying yes to this Random Acts of Kindness birthday movement that I have going on with live virtual conversations. And that means the world to me, as you know. How are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, I'm doing great, Adrian. I'm excited each day, and I thank God for you and inviting me on program today. I'm just excited about life, excited about everything, in spite of things we all go through, moving forward and walking by faith each day, each step of the day.
You just launching your book in itself and saying yes to this random live conversation. I truly want to start by just saying thank you. You didn't hesitate to provide just a list of names. I know you were talking about a random acts of kindness. You provided names, Dr. William Lieberman, to be able to help me reach my 46 random before September 6th connection. I wanted to start by just saying that random acts of kindness in itself, my friend, I truly appreciate, because, just knowing that I have a passion to do something, it's far-fetched for some people in their mind. When I say it out loud, people say, "You're going to do what?" But being able to have conversations with you like this and being able to share your story, I'm excited to be able to do so. So let's talk about get right into it. When you hear this phrase, right, from potato fields to PhD, and here's the link to the book here on the screen as well. What does that mean to you, from potato fields to PhD?
Well, I could write a dissertation on the word just potato fields. However, I'm just reminded of the fact when I was third grade, working
Mm.
those hot potato fields in Jim Crow South. I mean, sweating hot. And I said, oh, during the school year right now, and the kids are back to school this week. And I said,
Mhm.
Lord, let me get back to school because I want to get out of escape from these potato fields. Hot, sweaty. Anyway, that burned my heart, and my family told me. They told me years ago, my parents said, look, you better get that education. Because if you don't get an education, you're going to be in those potato fields for the rest of your life. So that put a burning desire for me to move forward and escape those potato fields.
Wow. That is hilarious. Where did you get the title of that book from, if I may ask?
Well, it was a journey. Now,
Mm.
Dare Mighty Things, that part of that, the title Dare Mighty Things, well, I am a distinguished Toastmaster, Toastmasters International.
Yes.
And I took a club that was struggling in Southfield to the point where some members wanted to close the club. I said, no, we would not close this club. When I was appointed president, I said, we would dare mighty things. So that dare mighty things was birthed from my experience with Toastmasters. But then as I grew up in terms of those potato fields, I said, what's a great best way to connect the book? Dare mighty things in terms of whatever come your way, you dare mighty things in spite of problems, obstacles, and then a journey from the potato fields to a PhD was the other part of the book. First part, the birth was Toastmasters, and the second part, the time I was a little kid to the time that I earned my PhD, published in 2014.
Oh, that is amazing. So you've had your PhD since 2014?
Yes, I earned my Doctor of Education August 13th, 2014 from Walden University. And that was another story. In fact, that's all part of my book journey in terms of how I moved from each part of my education, from the time I got my bachelor's to the master's to the doctorate, and then of course now a published author.
Now, and I applaud you for the published author. It's so funny. Miss Karen actually pushed you like through COVID to get it published way back in 2019, right? To actually get your book published.
In fact, Karen, I love my wife, Karen. I call Miss Foster Parent Karen. 20 years ago, I was working between in sales and marketing, and in my career, it's 25 years sales and marketing, 25 years education, and the phase 3 is the book. That's all in the book in terms of my book. The point is this: 20 years ago, Karen said, "You need to write a book one day." I said, "Girl, leave me alone. I'm working there."
Right.
So, but eventually, the time was right. There's a purpose for everything. Now, I've been in ministry for 50 years. I will say this: during the pandemic, when things slowed down, in 2019, I accelerated the process in writing the book during the time of the pandemic. Again, that story is also in the book.
And that's amazing in itself, because during the pandemic, I wish sometimes one of the great things is Zoom and virtual living type thing, and kind of getting adjusted to those things as well. But share with me, why do you think that everyday voices and stories like yours have the power to even be heard on a podcast or go viral, as people would say in 2025, in regards to what your story was about?
Well, basically, Adrian, again, I'm so excited to be here today, and bless you. Point is that people, we'll all go through different tests and trials and tribulations. If you breathe enough, you can go through some problems. Someone said, well, I don't want no problems, but you ready to go to heaven?
Right.
You're going to go through some things.
Right.
Some people just may need a little boost. Some people feel like giving up in life. Yes. And I figure if this book could let people understand, no matter how hard things get, it's a story said, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going.
That's right.
So if this could be a catalyst for some people to keep on keeping on, no matter how hard it appears, just take it one step at a time.
And I want you to kind of take me back as the first part of the actual the back. I was reading the back of the book too, and you went through a fire, and the only thing that you had after the fire were the clothes on your back. And yes. I saw your mother and your siblings leaving Weeksville, North Carolina, and share with me the mindset that you had to go through, even I mean, I know the book journey was amazing in itself, but even to go through this physically to write it in a book, what type of mindset do you have to actually endure so much, so much pain to get where we are today?
Oh, thanks for that question. But basically, if you're looking at the mindset, I remember a little boy. It's that night. It was freezing cold, and now today, when it's cold inside the house, we just turn on the thermostat and it's warm. But during that time, we didn't have any thermostat in Weeksville, North Carolina. And I remember this cold night; it was like shaking, and I just had a fear came over me. Adrian says, "I just it's hard to explain." But I saw my mother throwing wood in the fireplace, throwing wood, and I couldn't sleep. And I felt bad that night. Something was happening. It was going to happen. And again, 8 siblings in the house. That's in the book. But then all of a sudden, about 3 o'clock in the morning, my mother said, "Children, get up, get up, get up. The house is on fire." And all I could remember was we grabbing hands and my mother directing us out the front door.
Oh, wow.
And when we got out the front door, my mother, that godly instinct, and my mother was looking all 8 of the siblings, and she said, "Wait a minute, it was on a 7. Bertha's in the house. Bertha's in the house." And notice we had down south the men who worked down south in the weekend, they kind of disappeared. But Lonnie Jones, who was right our next door neighbor, my mother said, Lonnie, Bertha's still in the house." So he ran, and then all of a sudden the flames appeared. He couldn't go in the front because there was a fire. So my mother said, the back door, there was like a closet in the back door. He ran, kicked the door open, and there rescued Bertha. And then the Lord, by the grace of God, Bertha survived. We all survived, only by the grace of God. And that was a catalyst for me to say, Lord, you have to, no matter what go your way, move on, keeping on. And in that freezing cold, walking down that road, I said, Mama, what are we going to do? And Mama said, "Don't worry, the good Lord will take care of us." And that's the whole process in that story.
Oh my gosh, that was, I felt all of your words when you were saying that. My aunt is a part of Detroit Storytellers. I'm gonna have to pass on your contact information, because I mean, the way you shared that, I saw Bertha in the house and the rescue, the whole 9 yards. But was there a moment, my friend, when you realized your story could inspire beyond your family or even just the community?
Thanks for the question, Adrian. In terms of, obviously, that was part of my experience in Weeksville, North Carolina.
Right.
And by the way, when people say, "Weeks, where's that?" I said, "Well, you never heard of Weeksville." But I say, "Well, have you ever heard of Norfolk, Virginia, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach?" Oh, so we're an hour and a half drive from that area. So again, Weeksville is a small town within a small town. But in terms of inspiration, I'm sorry, Adrian. I'm so excited. What was the question again?
No worries. So was there a moment like when you realized your story could inspire beyond your family and even the community, or even getting to writing the book?
Well, the inspiration of this story was very succinct. In other words, everybody goes through different tests and trials.
Right.
And that everyone has a journey. And when we have a journey, we have to realize every journey is different.
Right.
My goal in writing the book was to assist, to be a help to someone who has their life journey, because each journey is different. If there are 100 people, line up 100 people, there are 100 different journeys. So in essence here, I just wanted my book to be a part of the journey of overcoming adversity in spite of what come your way. You take it, the old saying, what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
That's right. One bite at a time. But the great thing is that advice that you just gave, what's the best way to eat it? My cousin used to say that all the time. What's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. What would you give that to someone who feels their story isn't enough or big enough even to share?
Well, I would tell that individual, where their cogitation, they're thinking who would be interested in my story? Who would be interested in my story? And my advice, never prejudge. Don't ever feel or think that your story is not approachable and that someone is not listening. You never know what point. It may be as simple as going to the grocery store, buying some grocery, and all of a sudden you feel that I didn't have enough money. What am I going to do? That we all have these different experiences. Whatever, there's no such thing as a story too small, because it may be small to you, but there be a plethora of reasons. People say, "Wow, that I need to hear that." So I say, don't prejudge, because you never know who your story could benefit.
You never know who you'll impact on the way to your why. That's one of my favorite sayings that I've learned along the way. But when you and your siblings lost everything, right? What kept your family, your mother, helped you moving forward?
Oh, that's what inspires me. I still have a little chills. Think of Waitsville, North Carolina, and the support. Walking those cold, freezing nights in North Carolina, if we all held hands, I said, "Mama, what are we going to do?" The Lord would take care of us. And thank God for Sylvia Jones. Sylvia Jones was our next door neighbor, and we all lined up, lost everything, and we stayed with her for a few weeks. And the whole essence of that story, Sylvan Jones they say, "Don't worry, children." And by the way, Sylvan Jones was one of my mother's best friends. But that was the next component. We could have frozen that name, but we walked down the street, dirt road. By the way, no cement road, dirt road, and we stayed with Sylvan Jones for a few weeks until the city, Waitsville, until they got some situations together for us to receive housing. But again, it was a neighbor to neighbor helping each other, because not only were we in the potato fields, our neighbors also worked those potato fields. So there was a bond. Those days, when you run out of sugar, the store is too far away. William, go ask Mr. Van, give us some sugar. And you run out of butter, next day, go ask this neighbor, we need some butter. So there was a community, there was a bond within the community.
And so let's talk about that for a moment in regards to the importance of family and community. You share with your next door neighbor actually took you and your family in for a few weeks in between the interim of making transition or change. How important is it, my friend, in regards to having community, family, kind of band together in tough times to be able to get through tough struggles?
It is so important to have family connections. And I feel that's part of the reason, that's part of my DNA now. My wife, by the way, we'll be celebrating our 50-year wedding anniversary next week. And that's another topic. That's another topic. And she said, she'll tell people, when we walk in the neighborhood, we live in Southfield, she walking, and I'm walking in the neighborhood. I said, "Karen, this neighborhood," so William knows everybody, he knows everybody. Say hello. So that was the birth. That was the birth of my experience, that we need that support. And I'm not, I know some people are more private than others, but to me, I have to get to know my next door neighbor, the neighbor across the street, I have to get to know. That's how I was birthed. You can't live. Now, I love the movie years ago, the movie, The Lone Ranger, and Kemosabe, White Horse. I love that movie. Now, but that's the Lone Ranger, but this, in family, in community, there's no such thing as what? A Lone Ranger. We need each other, because as a team, I learned this in my 25 years of teaching. One thing I love those statements here. TEAM, together, everyone achieves more.
I have to write that down, because that is because a team, there is no I in team, but there is an I in individual. And when you bring that back to the team, because if I work on me, if I bring in my best version of myself, and which starts with belief and faith, then when I get to the team, I'm able to contribute to actually the growth and the next steps of being the best version of the team, right? Yes, so how important is it to kind of have the hardest, having struggles. Like there's no easy thing called life, right? There's no way. Like you said, you were walking on gravel. I couldn't even imagine. There was no cement back, So how did your mother's example shape the way that you handled adversity? How you all held hands walking out the door, as you shared with us, banding together as community and handling the struggle together?
This working together as a family. And my
Yes.
mother, who passed away in 2020, and obviously, 2020, the age of the pandemic, and but thank God she didn't have the COVID. She passed away from 25 years struggling with Alzheimer's disease.
Okay.
However, having a mother who taught by example. Now, when I mentioned working those potato fields, it wasn't just the siblings. My mother led the way on the knees, picking up those potatoes, sweating, and got to the point where she had asthma, and it was the grace of God that the doctor years in those potato fields, she was on her knees. And when we got older, we all worked those potato fields. But it got to the point where my mother said, we do what they have to do. She led by the way, by example, and my mom working the potato fields, and the older siblings, we had a row of potatoes. Each one had a different row, picking up those potatoes, putting them in a basket, putting the baskets in a bag. But my mother was leading the way as the example for our family during those trying times.
And even talk about yourself as an example. I mean, you and Miss Karen actually adopted 7 children, right? Had a total of 10. How would you say that your actual journey has been an example, just like your mother was for you? How would you say that your journey has been an example to show those children, what it's like to be an amazing person? Because that's what you are. Seriously.
Well, thank you, Adrian. The children at the present time, all the children are grown now, and that whole process, it's been a journey. It hasn't been easy. It's just having three biological children, and then of course we adopted 7. So at one point, you go back a few years ago, we had 10 in our home, and it was never a problem to have a birthday party, because 10 already, and you invite a few neighbors, all of a sudden you got 25 people in your house. But the kids learned the value of working together as a family unit, and those were some not easy days every day, but the trying time as see the children grow and develop as a family unit. Those were just some inspiration moments in my life.
Oh, and it's such a blessing that you all did that, because that just shows how selfless you are. And so when you look at that part of your life, when people see the PhD, they don't see the potato fields. They don't see the struggles behind the scene as an adoptive parent, or even just a parent as well. What do you want to show them about that part of your life?
What I would want for them to show them is that no matter what you experience, there's a purpose for everything.
That's right.
And if people understand, a friend of mine that I respect years ago, and in fact, my daughter, who's now a nurse in North Carolina, we adopted her when she was 14 years old. And she's a registered nurse now in North Carolina. And through her training, now one rule we have is no such thing as you growing up in this household not going to church. You're going to go to church. and she was, many times she would be, now she was 14 years old. Now, the other was be adopted, they were younger, but she was 14 years old, and she would sit in the back of the church and do it, go to sleep. Now, I didn't beat on her. No, you got to listen to the preacher. No, I just said, no, you just didn't do that. But you would think she's not listening. I tell my 25 years teaching, never think that no one wants to listen. You just be that example. So to make a long story short, she was 14 years old, and as she grew up into the military, and she's a nurse, and she was one thing that encouraged her. She would always say one thing: never say "What is this?" but "What is this for?" And that was something. I mean, she was, and she is. I mean, she's been a minister, and just a wonderful story, but had some adversities as a teenager.
Right.
But she learned. She was very resilient. That's the word. She's very resilient in terms of that step by step. So that whole process there.
Now, was there a moment that you ever yourself almost gave up, or what stopped you from not even doing so or even entertaining it?
Adrian, I feel with my background, with my background, I had a simple philosophy in life and the good Lord, because everything, again, I put my preacher hat on right now. Things just don't happen. I said, well, if I can breathe,
Right.
I'm going to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how dark the hour get, if the Lord gives me the breath to breathe, and some of those moments I felt like totally giving up when we lost everything. But then when I grew older, that's another story. My trip to Bridgehampton, New York, and during that time, and I told my father lived in Bridgehampton, New York, and people said, "Where's Bridgehampton?" Well, Bridgehampton. When my wife and I got married, the first 3 years of our marriage, I told him Bridgehampton, where I was during the summer visiting my father. Bridgehampton. People, I never heard of
Mm-hmm.
Bridgehampton. Well, Bridgehampton is where the Peter Jennings lived. He lived in New York, but during the summer they would have this second home in Bridgehampton. The point is that whole journey was just I call it a vacation from the potato fields. During that during the journey from during the time when I was just being in New Jersey, in New York during that time.
So that was a time out from the potato field. So you had a.
That's right.
I
That's
know
right.
that's right. I definitely understand. Now, what do you think your life would have looked like if you hadn't pursued education and impacting people over 25 years educating, right? Correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So what would
Yes.
your life look like if you had not pursued education and taken on, the impact of what education can do for you?
Adrian, I feel that our lives are complete. God has a course for all of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And when my wife and I got married, I had my school, university, Elizabeth City State University, had their 20-year high school reunion. And of course, in that part of the journey, we encountered people, friends of ours, who attended high school with me, but they
Mm-hmm.
never escaped those potato fields. And during
Mm.
a 20-year high school reunion, we met this young man, and he's a Liverman. You made it, man. You made it. You made it. And he looked back in his life, and he was wondering mistakes he made. And of course, if I could see him now, I would let him know that just take it one day at a time. But the point is that he was still working those fields. We had
Mm.
gone on in our life, but if the Lord did not cause me to move forward, then I could
Right.
have still been in those potato fields. And that
Wow.
was an example where Melvin stayed. He was still working those farms. And by the way, I'm not minimizing. Thank God for farmers and thank God for that. But
Right.
I would have could have potentially been in those fields rather than pursuing higher education.
And so how different would your sibling stories be if your family hadn't made the decision to keep pushing forward, to even just just keep going and have that will to keep going?
Great question, Adrian. I feel that by having my mom as an example, now my
Hmm.
mom did not finish high school, but my mom will always encourage us to stay in school. My father, who was living in New York at the time, stay in school, and he would have a saying. He said, people as you go through life, they can take away your clothes, they can
Yeah,
take away your food, they can take away this, but what you put up here, no one can
that's
take
right.
that away.
That's
And
right.
so that basically we had that family growing up, my mom, and of course the neighbors, they were inspiration for us to keep on keeping on. And one example, my mother's best friend, this Anna Jones, who passed away years ago. This Anna Jones had uh, had a daughter,
Hmm.
Betty Parker. Right now, we were two homes from us. Again, in those Wheatsville, that dirt road, North
Hmm.
Carolina. Betty Parker. In fact, I talked to Betty the other day, and she became the first African American mayor in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. And Betty was she lived 3 doors from us in Wheatsville, North Carolina. And Betty Parker's mother, Miss Anna Jones, and my mom were the best of friends. So having that inspiration, right? And then so having 8 siblings, I have eight siblings growing up, and everyone have college degrees and even some advanced technical degrees. It was just a great inspiration during that time.
That is amazing in itself. And so why is it urgent for others listening here today, right? In regards to taking action on their dreams. And we talked about education being the one tool that no one can take from you. It doesn't, no money, no any type of economic situation. When you're learning every single day. Now, why is it urgent for others listening to kind of take action and to act on their own dreams, if it's education or anything else?
Well, everyone has a course in life. Yes. Now, am I saying that if you don't have a college degree that you're a failure? Absolutely not. Because if people understand, look at the changes in our economic environment now. For many kids, students are finishing high school and getting that advanced training and doing very well. So by all means, a 4-year college degree is not for everybody. Right. But whatever your course is, whatever your dream is, have a burning desire. I don't understand my next course in life, but have a burning desire to make a difference in the lives of others.
That's it.
Once you make that desire, once you see what was those potato fields was my burning desire. That was my why. I need to get out of these potato fields. Come home, hot, sweaty, all you. Let me escape these potato fields. And due time we did. So that was my burning desire. And right now, all the kids are back in school now. All the kids are back in school in the United States. The kids are back in school. And right. I remember my 8th grade, my math teacher, the first day in school, said, Liverman, do you enjoy those potato fields? I said, I hated those fields. I was don't mention one time, many times you see a snake crawling. I'm saying the snake. I'm gonna tell you something. If you do not get a good education, you could be in those fields the rest of your life. That's the fear of God in me. So the time when I was in school, hey, don't wish I was in college. They said, "Where's Liverman?" We had, in college we had a pool, a place where you could shoot pool. Play cards. And they said, "Where's Liverman? Where's Liverman?" I would hang around for maybe 20 minutes before, you know what? I disappeared. I was in the library.
Like you're in the library right now. Look.
Is that right? Right now, I'm in the library right now, the Southfield Library right now. By the way, that's another story because this beautiful library was built in the early 2000s, and this was the time I enrolled in a doctoral program. And so they would tease my wife. They would call my wife and say, "Karen, where's William?" I tell you what, William's not here, but I tell you what, try 3 places. Try Tim Hortons coffee shop for those. Try Tim Hortons. Try Office Depot, or try the Southfield Library. So that was part of my day. I did it. This not here is in the library. Yes, absolutely.
And that's not a bad place to be. I love the library. That's where your imagination can take off. Seriously, that's hilarious to me. But so now, Dr. Liverman, if anybody could take one lesson away from, even before I ask that question, do you happen to have like a favorite chapter in the book that when you actually wrote the book that stands out for you? I love the pictures and everything you have in there, but do you have a chapter in there that stands out for you that you like the most, or not really like the whole book?
I just love the whole book because every chapter builds on every chapter builds on each chapter. But if I had to choose one chapter, it would be in life And that was, in fact, that's a really, oh, I'm getting so excited about this. I thought, if you look at my journey, Adrian, I thought my journey was over when I retired from teaching 2024. I said, that's it. That's the end of my journey. That's it. In terms of me writing, that's it. 2024. That's the end. Little did I know that there are three things that happen. By the way, I had submitted the book to my publisher, graduated, earned my degree. That's the end of my journey.
Right.
However, now we're in 2025. About a year ago, I had a pain in my back, and I don't know what it was, but I had a cyst 20. It was a pain, and the doctor, I had surgery. This was about a little over a year. I had surgery that was a cyst that had to be removed. So now understand that I'm thinking my book was already completed. So I had a cyst in my back that happened to me, and then this past about 8-9 months ago, my daughter Arvanda, who she was 5 years old when we adopted her. Arvanda lost her brake and hit a stone wall and almost got killed.
Oh, wow.
For the grace of God, she had surgery, but she's doing fine now. But that happened during the time that I was waiting to get my book approved. That happened. So that was a second thing that happened. The third thing was my wife and I were out shopping, and then we were out having dinner, and it was still snow on the ground. And as we were coming home, Karen kind of slipped, and she broke the small bone in your toe area. She broke that during the same time that I was basically thought that the book was over. But then it's a light flash. And I to the point where I had to call my publisher agent. I said, wait, hold it. Don't give me the results yet. She said, what do you mean, Dr. Liverman? I said, these happen almost within 3 months of each other. Again, my surgery, my daughter accident, and then the other was Karen's, my surgery, my daughter's wife. So I told the publisher, we have to add another chapter. She sent it, Dr. Liverman. So I sent her the manuscript, the chapter. So the chapter 30 in the book, it says, in life, you have to expect the unexpected.
I see it.
Expect the unexpected. You have to expect. In other words, I thought my journey was over. But then, so in the book, it's last chapter, you have to expect the unexpected. So all chapters build on each other. But the last, that's it. Expect the unexpected. Yes.
Oh, yes. That is huge. That is amazing. I was wondering if you were going to name the chapter, and I do want to hear about you being the New York bestseller. So I'm going to ask you about that in a second. But this chapter stood out to me when I asked the question. Now, some people might not know in the age of AI and Google and all these other things, but the World Book Encyclopedia, that's where education first started. And my mother used to sell world books, and a lot of people go door to door selling these encyclopedias because that's where you were able to learn. So I'm excited to read about the World Book Encyclopedia. That's what stood out for me.
Bro, that's my journey.
So talk to me about this dream you had when we talked. Literally it was God's design, seriously. And you sent the link over for your actual book, and you were telling me that you had a dream about being New York bestseller. Talk to me about, you'd always told your friends about New York bestseller. I say put it into manifestation. Like, what was the dream? You have to tell me the
well, basically the dream, I obviously myself so excited to write the book, and it was more or less, I was in a dream. I was sleeping, and I was just, I couldn't sleep. I slept, and then I woke up. I slept, and what happened was that I could just see that I didn't have a quote a clear dream, but it's in my heart. It says, you have this instrument you have, there are mighty things, a journey from the potato fields to a PhD.
Yes.
And again, I didn't hear no voice from heaven, but it was more or less, you can have so much influence on this book, can influence so many people in their life journey. It's not about
Mhm.
what's in it for me, it's how I can influence others. And if I can influence one and build upon that, I said, yes, the more people you could assist, not looking at you, but looking at others, the more
Yeah.
people you can assist, you could, this book will be one day a New York Times bestseller. But it
That's
was
it.
the key is helping others move forward, making a difference. And I said, yes, the New York Times bestseller. Some people feel, oh, that's an impossible dream. No, it's not. When you're looking at making a difference in the lives of others, the New York Times bestseller will take care of itself. And that was
How
my whole initiative.
even when you actually send me over a list of almost 80 different people to actually take advantage of sharing their story, and it was kind of crazy to me. One of your friends, when I was making phone calls last night, told me that they saw God, like they died and had a heart attack in 2023 and came back, and long story short, said that their vision was to be able to share their platform and share their story, no matter how big and small.
That's
So
right.
when I say that to say, you see things like this as opportunities sometimes, and it's not for everybody. But in telling your story, how important was it for you to finally put it all together into an actual book to be able to share with other people to help? How important was that your story to share that with others?
It was so important to
Right,
share with others in terms of the next chapter in your life. You see, life is nothing but a chapter. Now,
right.
that chapter, I feel, is again, I'm putting on preaching head on it, but that chapter, God, purpose, we all have a chapter in life.
Yes.
And people ask me, Dr. Liverman, what's been your key? What's been your key component to your chapter? Well, I can only say, it's an old saying about life. You can turn lemon into lemonade.
That's it.
My lemonade was during the pandemic when everything shut down. Now, it's one thing about my wife tells me all the time, William, he's just a go, he's moving. But what happened, she again, I was on her, she, you need to write a book 20 years ago. You need to, okay, the time. But when
Right.
I was teaching at Davenport University, I was
Mm,
teaching at Davenport University, and about Davenport, that's a great school based in Grand Rapids. And Davenport was really ahead of the curve in terms of online teaching.
mm,
I remember when the pandemic hit, I was training teachers in Detroit because my job at that time was to educators had to have a degree, those major in urban education. So I would
right.
visit the school and give them feedback on their pedagogy. I would visit
Mhm.
the school, and I remember coming home, driving home, we got an email the same day that because of the pandemic, schools are going to be closed.
Mm,
And just the next week, Davenport moved. We were ready. We didn't lose a beat. They had their curriculum online already set up.
mm.
That wasn't what happened. Even though the schools throughout, not only as you know, in Michigan and throughout the United States, things shut down. So during that time, when I was still teaching at Davenport, but it was more or less teaching, it was online. And during the time things settled down, I just lived right here, the Southfield Library, and I would accelerate my writing my story.
That is amazing. That, like I told you, my business partner Unika Gaines went to Davenport University, and so would you
Yeah,
say that Davenport was ahead of the curve in regards to the technology with COVID and everything? You said everything was online, already done, huh?
yeah, it was already done. It was already done. Because guess what? If the Lord hadn't sent that, if the Lord, now by the way, I'm just saying that happened, and I know a lot of people lost loved ones, and I want to be sensitive to that. We lost many loved ones, but at the same time, it's an old saying: life you can turn a lemon into lemonade.
Right,
My
that's right.
lemonade was that the good Lord knew my DNA. I'm on the move all the time. The Lord, that pandemic put the brakes on. And where we are right now, where you interviewed me right here on the third floor, this is where I was writing for weeks, finishing my memoir. And it
Mm.
was a result of the pandemic and also the environment at Davenport University that allowed me to continue to teach, but it was low key, slowed up to the point where I could finish my book.
And that's what Miss Karen said, that you guys stayed inside for 3 months. And I remember during that time too, I was so fearful just to even go to my mother's house, not trying to, because you don't know, right? I didn't want to be the cause of something happening with with the pandemic. But what I can honestly say, after how things have transferred with this online space, with Zooms, with with us being able to have conversations like this, like you're in Southfield and I'm in Canton, Michigan, like you're able to still engage. And I know
Yes.
that it's such a blessing. So
Yes.
it truly is. Like you said, not to be insensitive, we all lost so much during the COVID, but we gained and turned these lemons into lemonade, like seriously, with the online space. So
Yeah, that's right.
if there was one lesson that you could actually have people leave, walk away with from this conversation, what would that one lesson be?
The, one lesson in terms of this conversation,
Yes.
and only when a person think about everyone has a journey. If there are 100 people, if you line up 100 people, Adrian, 100 people, there are 100 different journeys.
Yes.
And that journey was sent to that person for purpose.
Right.
And it was sent to help support others. In fact, I have to use this scripture because it's part of my religious background. It says, one thing, the Apostle Paul suffered many things in his journey. That's a whole story in terms of what he suffered. But one scripture he mentions, for the things that I suffered so that I could be an encouragement to others. And what happened is this: in the advice to others is the value. The one word I want to, if you forget everything else, the value of resilience.
Mm.
And everyone has experienced different things. But in terms of my life, in terms of my platform, resiliency has been the key.
Right.
That the Lord did not allow me to give up. Just resilient. Because when you feel like just the whole world could be falling, just hitting you side of the head, but just one step forward could be, wow, I never realized this. So it would be the value of resilience, which hopefully we can just apply to our life as we move forward.
Oh, and that's the word I'm going to ask you. That's my word, is resilient. Like how I describe my brand. I'm gonna ask you that here shortly. So for people listening though, who may be on the fence, why should they pick up a copy of your book and be a part of just this history in the making, Dear Mighty Things, a journey from the potato fields to a PhD? And I want to make sure I get my signed copy at some point, even though I know we're virtually. But why should people actually listen to your story, and actually what inspiration they should actually pick up this book?
I encourage every reader to read the story of a journey, Dear Mighty Things, a journey from the potato fields to a PhD. Now, I realize that most people will never earn a PhD or doctor of education. Most people will never, in terms of academic, in terms of that level. But a journey, everyone has a journey. A journey could be, if you're looking at step A, B, C, D, E, wherever your journey in life. Mm-hmm. The goal of this book is to each chapter in the book, I feel that wherever a person is, they can relate to some information in that book.
Right.
Whatever their goals are, to become a doctor, a nurse, or a caregiver, whatever your journey is, I feel that with this book could be a connection between some part of your journey. Now, I'm not saying it's gonna be the answer to everything, no, but at some point, the best way to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. I feel that this book could be a what? It could be a bite. That's the word. It could be a bite, that something in the book, that bite could make a difference in some life. And a bite here, a bite there, a bite. That's the goal, is to be a component, to be as to a missing ingredient in someone's life.
Mm, I love it. And how can this book inspire the next generation? So even looking at the back, you having the bachelor's degree in chemistry from Elizabeth City State University, a master's from Marygrove College, and a doctor of education from Walden University. How can actually the next generation, being a distinguished Toastmaster award in February 2019, I'm reading the back, it's amazing. And you've been doing it over 25 years. And when you actually, like I said, in the next generation of inspiration, in what ways do you see this book being able to inspire others?
I feel, Adrian, that is a powerful question. Powerful question.
Yes.
We don't know, for example, right now we're in a technology world. We don't know all the ins and outs about everything in life. Right. But I do believe that God controls all things. And I love the fact you mentioned World Book Encyclopedia.
Yes.
Yes, that's many people. I say, now, wait a minute, you go door to door and you would sell a set, and then they give you some referrals, and you go next door, and then all of that. No internet. People ask me, how do you, and by the way, see, a purpose. I met my wife, that's in the book too. I met my wife in Chicago at a convention, and we met, and during that, and we met in 1974, got married in 1975. That's why I mentioned between 50 years next week. Right. But the point is that you mentioned, and I love the way World Book, myself in Maryland, my wife World Book in Detroit, we meet in Chicago. See, those missing components was all designed for us to be where we are now. So that's right. I mean, in a roundabout way, right now, in fact, my kids, as a teacher, they said, Dr. Liverman, I remember my grandparents had a World Book Encyclopedia. Wherever. We don't know all the technology things right now. We're moving to so much about AI and so much going, so many things are happening. However, I feel that this book, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, when I'm long, we're long and gone, I feel that somewhere they can still open a book, and that's why I had to go to get it published. That somewhere 50 years from now, 150, whatever, there'll be some information in a book that can make a difference in that person's life.
I love it. I love it. I am excited to read it, and I'm literally, like I said, it's so inspiring to. It's so funny. Like, so many people ask, do I want to write a book? My mother even told me to write a book, and I was like, I don't want to write a book. But you know what happens when somebody tells you to do something? What ends up happening to write a book? But I know once I'm on a billionaire journey, so the book will happen at some point.
When you met, I mean, when you were in the insurance business, how you visit. My wife and I talk about this all the time. Adrian, we just met her. And it's like we've been doing this show for all our life. And she, and resilience is the word describes you. And you've been a resilient, a visionary person, entrepreneur. So you feel you have all the components. We just love you. We talk about you all the time in terms of your tenacity of resiliency and the difference you make in the lives of people right now. And we appreciate you for that.
I appreciate you as well, my friend, and the impact that you've made, not only in my life, but the people that you've taught. You have no idea what people say in the rooms when you're not around. And like I said, almost 100 people talking to yesterday, or at least reaching out to you. They had so many great things, and they remember you, right? And they were so excited to, oh yeah, Dr. William Liverman. Oh yeah, I know him from Wayne State. Oh, I know him from Toastmasters. Oh, I know him from, and so it was so fun and engaging that God gave me that assignment yesterday, because that wasn't my plan. But it was so great, because once I got to those that said yes, those that had those inspiring stories, those that wanted to share, literally someone called me this morning actually, and we were talking about 1984, George Orwell. It was just normal conversation, and I just thank you, because again, if they are impacted with you, I know they're amazing people. That's why I was excited to make the phone calls. So yeah. I do want to be respectful of your time as well. I know I'm reaching the top of the hour. I just want to do something fun called the top 8, right? So if you could be any superhero character, what would it be? Mine is Flash, but what would your superhero character be?
Oh, a superhero character?
Yes.
I mean, in terms of like a character on the movies I've seen, the superhero.
You can interpret it however you want. Yeah, I've received different type of feedback that's why I like to ask the question like that. I don't like to give specific. It doesn't have to be a Marvel character, but if it is, that's fine as well. But some people have told me I don't even want to give examples because that's not fair.
Well, I'm going to be. I've just made this real right to the point. In fact, you ask my kids, you mentioned my kids that you asked them, say, Dad, what did when y'all went to church? What did your daddy? When y'all going to church and Bible school? What going to church? What did your daddy do? What was this routine? Well, he said, but before we line up going to Sunday school, Dad would flip on a TV, and there it was, the Lone Ranger. I love Westerns. That's my DNA too, Adrian. I love Westerns. But then I say, why the Lone Ranger? Well, look at life. Clayton Moore, one of my, I love Westerns. But the point is this, if people look at the history of that movie, The Lone Ranger, primarily, it was done out of a tragedy where the Rangers were killed in a ambush. And by the grace of God, Clayton Moore survived. They thought he was dead. And what happened? And then here comes Tonto out looking, and then he goes into the mountain area, and there was Kemosabe. He put a mask on, and he tells me there it is. He said one day we're going to bring justice. What happened? Resiliency. And so what happened? He looking for a horse. Found his white stallion, and through that birth, resilience, had a mask, and he stated from this point on, my face will be hidden. But through that tragedy, through that brokenness, they were determined to conquer the West. Tonto and Kemosabe, and so it teaches life that you can make a difference no matter what comes your way. And they thought he was dead, killed, murdered, but he rebelled, put that mask on, and made a difference in the lives of others.
You know what? You're gonna have me watching The Lone Ranger because again, that's my word of my brand is resiliency. So if The Lone Ranger, my mother, they watched it, but I don't. I'm gonna go check it out though. Everything was nowadays with with the movies. But okay, so if you had to actually pick I told you my superhero character was Flash because I'm a Delta and that was my line name. Oh, I have to bring that up, my friend. You were what you told me before, and I've known you for years, and I don't recall. But you're part of what fraternity?
Me, Alpha Phi Alpha.
Woo! Got that black and gold.
Is the only way. 8 by 8.
See, we're all a part of the Divine Nine. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So it's the black and gold. We love the alphas, right?
Yes, and what the deltas, the Qs, Omega Psi Phi.
Right.
My best friend. Yes,
right.
Yes.
The AKAs, we love our sisters. They
yes.
Yes. So, if there was one food that you could eat for all the time, it doesn't matter about calories or gaining weight. Now, mine is watermelon. I just literally have a passion for watermelon. Seriously, like, is there a food for you that stands out that you would eat like anytime, all the time?
If there's a food, I have a plethora of foods. So many. However, if there was one, it would have to be peaches. I just love peaches, especially if they're nice. Now the hard one, but the ones that's so soft and the sweetness. Peaches, I love those. There's something about peaches, and I have to buy them to make sure it's the right kind now.
Right.
That's it, Adrian. That is it.
Do you do like peach cobbler or just the real fruit peaches? Just peaches by itself.
A combination of a peach cobbler. And speaking of peach cobbler, it's amazing we're on the interview today because my wife, in fact, I'm not sure, my wife cousin, Amina Fakir. Amina was 1985 Miss Black America, and she's in town now. I believe she came in. She's from California. And by the way, she wants me. It looks like there's an upcoming movie regarding my book, but that's another story. But Amina, her sister is a gift. She has a gift in cooking, and she told my wife the other day that when she comes this week, I said, please bring on a peach cobbler. So so peach cobbler, any connection to peach is peach, bring it on. Yes.
I love it. I love it. Oh, that's amazing in itself. I mean, okay, peach cobbler, call me up when you do that. Okay. So the next question I have. So, where are you originally from? You know, I'm from Detroit, Michigan. What up, though? Of course. But where are you originally from, and where do you call home now? I know we talked about it a little bit, but I want to make sure it's where I think Weeksville, right?
Yes, Weeksville. Now, I'm originally born in Weeksville, North Carolina.
Okay.
And people have never heard of Weeksville. Well, I always make some connection. You never heard of Weeksville? You heard of Chesapeake, Virginia Beach? I asked them, oh, yeah. So my little town is about, I'm looking at an hour and a half drive from the Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Suffolk, Virginia area. And that's my Weeksville, a small little country town, and I go there, and I still go that dirt road. By the way, they turned it to cement now. They changed the dirt road. Yes, it is. Yes,
that's hilarious. Real quick, is this Amina? Is this a Miss Black America?
That's my cousin. That's
her. Cousin. Beautiful.
Yes,
and from Detroit, huh? Or from
she's from Detroit. I'm sorry, what's that, Adrian?
From the Motor City, from Detroit.
Yes, she's from Detroit. Yes, Amina. In fact, she's here now. I believe I have to check, but I think her plane. She comes here quite often. Her mother passed away a few years ago, and Amina is a gift. I mean, like I said, 1985 Miss Black America, and she's gifted, and she is. And by the way, she's an inspiration. She's excited about my book, and we're putting together some other ideas there. But yes, and again, her sister made those delicious. Those peach cobblers. I said, bring it on. Yes.
I know that's right. I know that's right. That's amazing in itself. Okay, so what's your favorite place that you've traveled to and why? Mine is Toronto, because I used to, remember my Chris Bosh used to play for the Toronto Raptors, and I used to live there for 7 years. And so I love the culture and all of the different, just that everyone was so loving and beautiful. I've been a lot of places, but the Toronto still stands out in my heart. It really does.
Oh,
so where would you be your favorite place for yourself that you traveled to and why?
Well, I have to say, again, it goes back in the country, those potato fields. When we first we got married in 1975. And the first few years of our marriage, I had a dream of taking the kids to Disney World. Of course, we did that several times. And it was something about just out there and everyone having a great time and Florida. It was just part of my first part of my marriage. Several times I took a trip there to Disney World, to Florida. I just love that and just love that environment and just, again, working so hard in those potato fields. And it was a place where I could just totally relax. No deadlines, because understand in sales and marketing, you have deadlines and you have that. But just being out there, no time clock, I just enjoyed Disney World. It just took my vacation to another level.
Something about Mickey and Minnie, huh?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Yes, indeed.
Look, they make the website look so engaging. I'm like, Disney World looks like somewhere fun, the most magical place on earth. You can't go wrong with that tagline. That is amazing in itself. I love it. Okay. Now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, what's so amazing, if people look at the history of Walt Disney World, I mean, when Walt Disney started, they thought he was crazy. They said, you can see, again, resiliency.
Right. Right.
All the dirt and all this, he saw something, the resiliency, even though he couldn't get investors initially, it was a success story. But what we see now in Orlando is a testimony of resiliency.
Exactly. Everybody has a story, and those I always think about the Apple founder, what have you, like the crazy people, the ones that think different and just do what everyone else doesn't think that's common. Those are the ones that stand out. And when you think different, you see Walt Disney has places all over the world. It's one in California, it's one overseas. So you just said, like you said, you have to be resilient in your process. So my
Yes.
next question for you is, what day or holiday or season stands out for you as being, the one you look forward to every year? My date now is November 20th, 2023, my sobriety date. I'm 21 months sober. So I've kicked the hatch in regards to that old best friend of alcohol. No more addiction for me. I'm done with that chapter. I'm moving on from, but just seriously, the rebirth and just being authentic in my story and getting to love myself and not utilizing on different substances to take off who Adrienne Mays really is. So that's the date I'm going to celebrate for the rest of my life. And my birthday is awesome too, but that rebirth and really letting God use me for His plan, just having the clarity through it all, good and bad. That's why that day is such an impactful date for me. So for you, do you have a day or a season or, anything that stands out for you?
What stands out for me, and I tell the all whoever's listening to this, forgive me if I sound too religious, but if you're looking at this crazy world we're living in, where things are happening almost on a daily basis,
Yes,
and to know the love of God, to know that in spite of things, and I realize many of us have lost loved ones, tragedies, and I mean, just even today, especially today, just kids going back to school. And I think there was a few days that there was a shooting in the school just recently. But the point is that every season, every year, it's something about Christmas, December the 25th. It's something about that where it just kind of reminds me that God's got it. By Him sending the Lord into the world. And I know that, like I said, I don't want to sound too, this is not a religious program, but at the same time, for me, each year, the 25th, it's a reminder that in spite of what we go through, that God loves, extends to the point where He sent our Lord to die on the cross, not for us. So something about Christmas, what no things shut down. What most of you on vacation. So I call it one word: reflection into God's goodness and grace.
And what made me, when you were speaking, I thought about Jamie Foxx. He had his special come out after he had his health scare, what have you, and he said he had a conversation with God. And when you think about God, He sent His Son. And so why do you, and all of the turmoil that story has, and God sent His Son to actually die for our sins. We have a lot of audacity to think that we're special. It has humbled me, the different ways I hear that. I'm just thankful for every day and moment, because again, all the things that Jesus went through, and if that's His Son went through that, why do I think I'm not supposed to go through things? It's not supposed to be easy. So I'm so thankful that you said Christmas. It's so funny. Miss Karen said Christmas as well. So that's 50 years of marriage. You guys are just on the same wavelength. That's awesome in itself. So if you could go or before I do that one, I want to ask in regards to a favorite book or a movie that helps out with mindset. Do you have one that stands out for you? For myself, it's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. For financial education wasn't really taught in the schools. So seeing the power of leverage and how money works. That's why, Robert Kiyosaki actually stands out for me in regards to that. So do you happen to have a book or anything that stands out for you in regards to, mindset, a book or a movie?
Yeah, there are a plethora of books, movies that stands out. But one, I mean, if I had to choose one, as far as, my word resiliency.
Yes.
I have to say this. In fact, I was teasing my wife the other day. I said, guess what I saw? 2 weeks ago. Guess what I saw? And this movie, I mean, in the 80s. She said, what? Guess what I saw on Netflix? I hit it. Guess what I saw, honey? She said, what? The Shawshank Redemption. Oh! I'm not knocking on
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman, one of my kids asked me, gave me the big three. Who's the best actor? Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, or Samuel L. Jackson? I said, they're all good. So right. But the Shawshank Redemption, a story of resiliency. Can you imagine? Be framed for your wife's murder, and he could have died in that jail, but he through resiliency,
Yes.
and all that time. So it was something about that movie. And right now, I think for the past 10 years, I must have seen that movie at least once or twice a year. It's something about that movie, The Shawshank Redemption.
I'm gonna have to put that one on my list. For movies, I would have to say, have you seen the movie Sinners?
Yes, I saw that. Yes,
So,
yes,
so
a few
that's
months ago.
that's my movie, and the reason is, the one part that stood out for me was that you have to invite them in. Like
Yes.
you have to invite them in. So in other words, if you protect your boundaries, if you realize that you do have control over your actions and change, but if you invite them in, that's
Yes,
I don't want to be a spoiler alert, but if you invite them in,
that's it.
that's why that movie moved to #1 on my list. I definitely used to be The Color Purple. I'm not gonna lie, I love Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, the old Color Purple.
Yes,
But
yes.
so if you could think of one word, and I probably know what it is, and you said it several times throughout this interview or what have you, what's one word you would say that to describe your brand that of Dr. William E. Liverman? What would you say that one word is?
Adrian, I know some of the artists may be. We know, Doc. We know what you can say. I'm sorry. I just can't escape this word, Adrian. Resiliency. I just can't. I'm sorry. It's resiliency. I cannot escape that word, resiliency. And in fact, a friend of mine asked me the other day, said, "You need to do a TED talk." That's another topic. In fact, of course, that would be centered around resiliency in terms of that. But
Right.
to answer your question, that would be it. One word.
And I do something called the one word wall that's why I asked that question. I'm going to put your word on the wall. And so with the one word wall of the legacy, that's my word as well, as resiliency. I wanted to show you the wall, but I'll bring it up while I ask this next question. If you could tap your younger self on the shoulder and just kind of give yourself some words of wisdom on what you would tell your younger William, before you were Dr. William, before you were an author, a successful husband, educator, mentor, minister, what would you tap Dr. Now, it wasn't a doctor then. What would you tap young William on the shoulder to give him a piece of advice in order to kind of, to go move through this world?
Oh, thank you for that question, Adrian. I would just tell young William here, we don't know all the intricate details of life. None of us know. We don't know. Do we know everything that's going to happen a year from now? No, we don't know. Do we know everything that's going to happen next month? We don't know. Right. I would, to facilitate to facilitate life, my advice to a young person is tap that person on the shoulder, right, and say, William, as you journey through life, take life, not 10, 20, 100, take life one day at a time. One day. Now, you don't have to worry about what 10 years from now, the next month. Just live today, one day at a time.
Yes. Oh, that when I tell you, I agree with you on that. And I wish somebody would tap me on my shoulder years ago and told me that one little piece, like, you don't have to tackle the world, Adrian Mays. Let's just do it today. Just worry about this 24 hours right here. And with that piece of advice, I'm telling you, it'll take you so much further to realize that you're not supposed to. The design in life is to live. That's what the whole key purpose is. So I tell you, that's why I was smiling every time you said that resiliency throughout our conversation. This is the one word wall that I put everyone that does the conversations and their one word on there. But look at my word right here. You see it? Resilient.
Yeah. Wow.
I was cracking up the whole time. Resiliency. That is my one word that describes my brand. I couldn't make that up. That's all I want to show you. So
your word, Adrian. That is it. Wonderful. Resiliency.
Resiliency is my word, and I that's why I wanted to show you that. Sometimes when you tell people something, they be like, "Oh, Adrian, what?" Okay. But no, so that's why if you're not, just know that God's got this thing covered. He's got it covered. Let go and let God. Being resilient in your branding and who you are, That's all I know. And
Yes.
that's truly who I am. So I wanted to wrap up by saying, my friend, I wanted to honestly say thank you, as just this idea of doing the random acts of kindness came out of the honestly from your text. If I could be honest with you, when you text messaged me last week in regards to your link, changing your link from Bitly to Tiny URL, it was in the midst of Papa Don getting his Amazon bestseller book. And
Yes.
when he got that accomplishment and he was sending me text messages and was so excited, and I was like, oh dang, I could actually help people with these live conversations. And I was trying to figure out what to do for my birthday. And when we connected, and when I was just trying to tell you about the tiny URL link to help out in regards to not having spam go to your your messaging. But I just want to really thank you, because these conversations are what I'm missing in this digital world, like being able to relate with people. I'm having such a good time in regards to, I don't even feel like that's what life is supposed to be. It's not supposed to feel like work. Like building this branding of helping people know the power of live conversations. I just wanted to tell you publicly, thank you for every single person that you actually took the time for to send emails, as well as the phone numbers to encourage the Random Acts of Kindness birthday celebration on my part, and all of the effort for your time here today. And, because again, this wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for just that, how God works. Like, it wasn't me. I love how he works, because we were able to connect. We were able to help other people. And this 46 Random Acts of Live virtual conversations and the people that you put me in touch with has been so impactful, Dr. William E. Liverman, with the book. I wanted to say thank you. And so we're going to continuously keep going, and the replay is going to be able to be found too. I'll put the link up for you. But before I let you go, all of the impact that you've made around the world, the impact that you've made on this Adrienne Mays, just even writing this book, being excited to know your journey and your story, I can't say thank you enough. It's making me emotional. Being a part of my birthday for 46 is so, and having such an inspirational people within it. I thank God for the design. And you seriously, you're impacting people in ways that you don't even know. So I want to encourage you just to keep going, to keep telling your story, keep being the resilient person that you are, Dr. William Liverman, because if you weren't who you were, I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you today, as well as reaching out to so many people that just think of you as an inspiration, including your wife, Karen Liverman, as well, talking to her earlier. So I truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank God for the design, and thank you for the conversation today. I truly appreciate it.
Well, I can only say, do I have 20 seconds? 20,
you have as long as you need, my friend.
Well, in fact, it's amazing. I had, when my book, when my publisher sent me the confirmation of my books published maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It's like, now we know, we love you, my wife and I, and you talk about how you're innovative. You're just different in terms of how the gift that God's given you. And Karen said, we just love Adrienne. We just love Adrienne. And then out of nowhere, you mentioned about the digital. It was a perfect fit for my dream to launch the book. I had no idea, but the God just, now you talked, I mean, we go back a few years, but your innovation, your vision, your love for others, and I said, and everything was speeded up. I said everything is really speeded up when I published my book. But the bottom line, this is just, and by the way, before I go, I have a couple errands to make, but I have some acts of kindness. Some friends of mine, I'm gonna get that to you later today, who I feel would be, oh Lord, would be just perfect for this time in terms of your acts of kindness before your birthday.
I appreciate that. And I'll call every single one, because it's been a blessing, seriously. And I truly appreciate your support through this initiative too.
Yes, absolutely. And I appreciate being here, and God bless you, your audience. I enjoyed it. And like Clint Eastwood said, make my day. You made my day again.
and encourage, I'm going to encourage too, to, get the book. Please encourage people to invest in the book, because again, meeting the author, being able to see the genuine and authentic individual he is, the link is on the screen as well as in the comments. Even when you watch the replay, please support my friend, Dr. William E. Liverman, in regards to what he's doing, the impact, where he's been, where he is now, and where he's going. And he's going amazing places because that's what God designed. He doesn't make mistakes. We trust the process. So I do want to thank you so much for your time this afternoon. And I know it went over a little bit, so I'm working on it. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. Stay on for me. I want you to do your testimonial. So stay on for me. I'm just going to wrap up here for me, okay?
Oh, okay, sure. Okay.
That was amazing. Oh my gosh. From potato fields to PhD, Dr. William E. Lever. I keep saying, I've been saying Lieberman, my friend. Thank you. The unstoppable journey to bestseller, not only just with Amazon, but New York bestseller at some point when in his journey. Just listening a little bit about the book and how just the World Book Encyclopedia part. I know my mother is going to appreciate that portion, as well as just unexpected, coming from Weeksville, North Carolina, landing here in Michigan, and how life just journeys to the connection. Just some life insurance policies with Banker's Life. I mean, you never know what God's going to give you on the way to your why years later. So I want to thank again every single one person just giving themselves a chance and open to change. And if you want to write a book, just do it. Like he said, if you have the opportunity to dare mighty things, these are the things and the inspiration that he's provided in so many different just drops of wisdom that was provided here today. So if anything, leave love in the comments, because we're going to have this up forever. That's what I love about YouTube. It never goes away. So it'll be live. The replay is going to be able to be live too. And I'm going to actually host and showcase everything on my birthday, September the 6th at 8 a.m. with the Billionaire Brand AI webinar blueprint training, just being able to showcase at that time frame. But until then, enjoy these random lives and conversations. Between now, my goal is to get to 46. Miss Karen asked me earlier, she was like, what if you don't get to 46? God only knows if I'm going to get there, but I'm sure going to try. So I am going to keep going, make an impact. If you're actually interested in sharing your story, don't leave a comment, DM me at Adrienne Mays. I'm here to listen to your story, share your story, and take the first step. And then take AI webinars to take it to wherever you know it can go. So hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. I got one more today, so come back around 6 p.m. But I shall be victorious. What up, though, Detroit, Michigan? Adrienne Mays, resilient. Let's go. Deuces.